Let's bring in our Cavaliers beat reporter, Chris Haynes. Chris, thanks for joining us.
Anytime, guys.
All right, Chris, Cavs Spurs. This is a pretty big test for this Cavaliers team, especially because the Spurs bring a lot of size. Of course, they have a lot of skill on the perimeter. What are you expecting from this team tonight?
Yeah, it's really going to challenge their defensive discipline. I'm talking about the Cavs because the Spurs, similar to the Cavs, they have a versatile roster to where they can play big, but also they can play small and stretch the floor out and really get the Cavaliers defense moving from side to side. And it will be interesting to see which offense can play efficient basketball and wear the defense out, because this is a versatile roster in the Spurs. And with Pop, they do everything so well. You know, they don't make many mistakes. And so the mistakes that they do make from time to time, the Cavaliers are going to have to make sure they capitalize on those. It should be a really interesting game, and it's going to be a contrast in styles in some fashion.
Chris, earlier this morning, I was listening to Kyrie Irving on the Adrian Wojnarowski podcast, and he said something about tonight's game against San Antonio that stuck with me. He said, San Antonio's at a different place than we are right now. What do you think he meant by that?
In a different place?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe, you know, I haven't spoke to Kai and I haven't listened to the podcast, but maybe just the window of opportunity, maybe. You know, the Spurs, even though they brought on David West and LaMarcus Aldridge, they probably have, man, this may be their final window right here. When you think about Duncan and Parker, how they're aging. Kawhi is definitely rising. LaMarcus definitely still has a couple of prime years left, but the deep core of that team is pretty old. So maybe he's talking about it from that standpoint. You look at the Cavs roster, you can say they probably have a three-year window to get it done. So not having listened to it or spoken with Kai, that's probably the best synopsis I can come up with right now.
For the Cavs, Chris, if they don't feel like they're playing their best basketball yet, that their best basketball is still ahead of them, what do you think is the next step for them? What do you think that step is that they want to get to where they're going to feel like they are playing their best?
Well, Kai's still not there yet.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so obviously, yeah, I think that's true. That's safe to say. You know, Kai, when he returns to all-star form and then they get some games under their belt, that's when they're going to be at their best. Now, we don't know what that their best is, but, you know, just based off of, you know, how Kai's playing and Shump still, you know, these guys relatively new back in the scheme of things. So, yeah, of course they got some gelling to do. They got some things to mesh together, and Coach Black still hasn't put out all of his offensive and defensive packages yet because those guys have been out for a long period of time. So, yeah, there's no doubt about it. If they continue to stay healthy and stay together, yeah, they're going to get better. We just don't know what that peak is.
Chris, is it possible that the San Antonio Spurs at 34-6 with a point differential of plus 14, is it possible that they're actually flying under the radar a little bit?
They always do, though. You know, that's them. They always do. We always, at the end of the day, you know, you think about the fancy teams, the flashy teams, and then at the postseason, especially in Western Conference Finals, who are the opponents? Most times it's the San Antonio Spurs. That's how they want to go. They want to go about business that way. 34-6 record, man, that's ridiculous. If the Warriors weren't getting all of this praise for what they've been doing, you know, Spurs will still get left out and shut out. But that's what makes them so sneaky good, is that you know, most teams, they don't have the luxury of winning games and then not being in the limelight. The Spurs, they do it so well, and you have to be aware of those type of teams, man. I'm expecting a special game. I'm expecting special performances from key players. This should be a really good test for the Cavaliers.
Beyond the final score, what is it you want to see from the Cavs in this matchup against San Antonio?
I want to see something similar to what they pulled off in Dallas, meaning they persevered, they fought, they clawed, they handled adversity, and they came away with the win. Now, to do something like that against this team, in this environment, that would be something truly amazing. You want to see that fight and claw. You want to see if they can do that against the supreme teams and not just the middle of the tier teams. So that's what I'm looking for.
Chris, real quickly before you let you go, let's turn ahead to that Warriors game in Cleveland. It'll be the rematch of that Christmas Day game. Do you feel like both teams kind of have that one circled? Because it seems like obviously the Cavaliers want to prove they can beat the Warriors, but the Warriors, I think, too, a lot of people made the excuses that the Cavaliers weren't healthy last year. Do you think both teams have that one circled?
Well, it's kind of hard to have it circled when they had this, they got this crazy Texas triangle to go through. Obviously, I do believe they know the Warriors are up next after this. But, God, that's when you got the Dallas Mavericks, Houston Rockets, and San Antonio Spurs, going up against you in the immediate future, it's kind of tough to have that circle because then it's like, damn, I think they're looking at it like, damn, we got to see them again, like so soon after this. I think it's more so that than, hey, we got that circle, let's get them. This has been a really tough road trip, a really tough stretch of games for this Cavs. I think they're going to have it circled if they meet in the finals. That game right there, it just that Warriors game I'm talking about, it's just coming at a bad time.
I can take you into the locker room and the post-game press conference for David Blatt after the Warriors game right now, Chris. I know exactly what he's going to say if the Cavs lose against Golden State or if they win against Golden State.
You already know.
You know what it's going to be.
Know.
This was the first game after a long road trip. We had just played 6 games in like 14 days. What do you really expect from us?
There you go. You know Blatt so well.
I do.
I'll let him know today that you said that.
All right, Chris, appreciate the time.